Becky, this core is Becky, this core is not unfamiliar to bouncing back from blowout losses, but where do you particularly start on this one?
Defense. We're averaging, giving up 31 points in the first quarter. Now over the course of our two exhibition games in this game, and that's just not good enough. So we're digging out of the hole, puts a lot of pressure on your defense, your offense. Just is a little bit of a snowball effect.
That was actually my next question. You went 9 deep in the first quarter. Is that something that you anticipate doing the rest of the year, or is that something that you were kind of just looking for energy in that first quarter?
Just looking for something that works.
Joe Harris, A News Now. Coach, can you compare this offseason in this training camp and this ramp-up period to years past? Of course, it was pretty condensed, but what was that like the last couple of weeks of the spring?
Well, I don't think if you've watched any clips, I've been saying it, we've been working our conditioning. I don't think we're in good enough shape to play at the level that we need to. The defense, it looks like we haven't worked on it. We've been doing it now, hour and a half every day in practice, and just a really poor performance. The little details that we talk about that we feel are separation factors, we're just not doing them. And until we decide we want to do them, we'll continue to get our butt kicked like this.
Anyone else in the room? Can you describe maybe like how the past informs the sentiment after a game like this? Like, are you able to come out of it and say, well, last season we might have started off this way, but we improved, and maybe have a different perspective because of that?
I don't want to repeat what we did last year. That was not fun. The first half of the season. That's not how we want to come out. It's not the standard. It wasn't acceptable last year. It's not acceptable this year. So hopefully we'll fix it, obviously, sooner rather than later. And we'll just stay at it. All you can do is keep going to work and keep working until the appropriate habits are in place and the consistency. There can't be a lack of consistency in execution and attention to detail. So we can be competitive at times, but can we be competitive for 40 minutes?
And then just last one for me, how would you describe the way that the Mercury excelled in, I guess, exploiting the weaknesses of your defense tonight?
Some of the things that I thought we handled decently. The biggest point was, we talk about where we pick the ball up. We're giving 80% of the court for free before we touch anybody. It's like trying to stop an intruder to get to your refrigerator, and they're already in your kitchen. You got to meet them outside the white picket fence and start defending from there before they start. Then they have to work to get through the front lawn and through the front door. It's really that simple. We're giving 75 to 80% of the floor for free, and thinking we can defend that last 20%. It doesn't work that way.
Michael, then Cassandra.
Yeah, Coach, last year it did take a while for that, and forgive me, I know you don't want to relitigate last year a lot, but it did take a while for you to be comfortable with the defense. Is that the hardest part to get going, you think? And is that what you're seeing so far to play the type of defense you want? I know it's one game.
To be a really great defensive team, there has to be a lot of trust built up, and in a lot of ways this team has trust, but in certain ways you have to re-earn that trust and establish that trust. Defense, you got to trust what the person's doing behind you, and we're not there yet. Obviously we want to get to the point where we're on a string out there, all 5 players executing their job at a really high elite level. We're not there. The goal is to get there, and we're going to try to get there, like I said, sooner rather than later. But a lot of times there's no timetable, but our players know what the deal is.
Cassandra, then Nikias.
Yeah, so tonight there was a spectacular ring ceremony before the game, and you've got several players on this team who have a lot of, I think, brand and marketing type of responsibilities. How much of that plays into the challenge of being champions throughout this league? where the level of play is so high, but the expectations of your individual players are also high off the court?
I mean, they're superstars. It's their job to balance those demands. And I would say the pull on Asia and Jack and Chels, they do a pretty good job of that balancing act. Asia obviously has the most pulls on her. She gets pulled in a lot of different directions. There's a lot of weight on her shoulders every time she steps out on that court. And it's just our job to make it lighter where we can, whether that's as a staff, as a team. But that's also her picking her battles on when to say yes, when to say no. She doesn't, there's certain obligations I know that she has to do, certain appearances and stuff that I know that she has to do. But what Asia's really done that I've seen that's really great most of the time is just she keeps the main thing. And the main thing is basketball, and she always puts that first. They're not happy about that. They're not happy about that performance.
Last few, starting with Nikias.
Over here, Coach. If I can sneak in an offense question.
No.
Only 19 three-point attempts in this game, and there were pockets of last season where that three-point volume, or at least the share of those shots, were a little bit lower. And I know you want to get those up. Did you feel like that was player decision-making? Was that more Phoenix defense dictating things?
No, I thought there were times where we just caught and held the ball. Like, we could have shot the ball, we could have drove the ball, but instead we just analyzed. And you get slow when you analyze too much. And I thought there were some threes that we passed up. I mean, I was saying it on the bench. I'm like, I don't know, I feel like we have space to shoot. It's not like they were running us off the three-point line. We gotta have some people step up and hit some shots, obviously, and that'll come. But I don't like 19. No.
Last two, starting with Ann.
Well, I was going to ask an offensive question if there were any bright spots, but seemed to answer that.
We won the fourth quarter. Good job.
Okay, well, you all take one quarter. So I saw in the fourth quarter there was a timeout when you were outside of the huddle, and I wasn't sure if that was player-led. My question goes back to last year when Asia and the rest of the team were leading the scouting report. Is that something you see carrying into this season?
They don't want to do it right now. We'll see if it's something that we can. If we have to reinstate it, we'll reinstate it. It's going to be a little bit on them, how much they buy in and want to dig in. I think they all know what we're supposed to be doing out there, but the level of accountability and execution isn't there yet.
Got it. Thanks.
Any wrap-ups? Thank you, Coach.